There is a close link between allocated resources, risk, and estimates. It is often the case that these links are subjective, based upon a personal opinion and biases. Identification and assessment of risk and development of estimates are often driven by perception and individual viewpoints. It's difficult to perceive the future and to know how the allocated resources will respond to changes in the project. There is a method that is part of the PERT, Program Evaluation and Review technique, that helps to account for the subjective nature of planning risk and estimates. This method is called three-point estimating because it involves three sets of estimates for each activity. The first set of estimates is the set we would normally produce. It identifies a time and cost estimate that is based upon our perception of risk from the risk assessment and allocated resources. The diagram illustrates time estimates that are easy to show as a relative timeline. We would produce corresponding cost estimates for each of the time estimates. How do we produce estimates? Identification of estimates are based upon our best understanding of the situation from our experience. Or, in the worst case, it is a guess. How accurate is the estimate? Maybe we will know only when the activity is complete. This estimate is called most likely. The next set of estimates is based upon the assumption that none of the identified risk will occur. The activity will complete without any problems. The estimate will be the minimum time and cost for the activity. This is called the optimistic estimate. The third and final set of estimates considers that all risks will occur. The activity experiences all possible problems and completes at the maximum time with maximum cost. This is the pessimistic estimate. We now have three sets of estimates. The relative time estimates are shown in the diagram. There is an important rule in this method that says that the most likely estimate must not be directly in the middle. In this diagram, the most likely estimate is shown on the timeline closer to the optimistic estimate. Such a relative position indicates that this activity has low overall risk. If Tm is closer to the pessimistic estimate, this would indicate that the activity has higher risk. If we place Tm in the center, then the perceived risk is seen as average and is not being properly addressed. And that removes the whole purpose of applying the three-point estimating method. We will be effectively choosing the most likely estimates. Remember that this method applies to cost estimates as well. The three-point estimate method suggests that we now use a statistical method called Monte Carlo to process the three sets of estimates. The assessment will produce a distribution curve like the one shown in the diagram. This curve represents the number of times identified that the project will complete at a certain time, based upon assessing all combinations of the three sets of estimates for all the activities in the project. The peak of the curve indicates the most likely completion time for the project. And we can use the standard deviation to provide a range of completion times with some statistical confidence. Here, the curve has a bias to the left, indicating a lower risk project. If the curve leans to the right, this indicates a higher risk project. If we do not have the means to run a Monte Carlo simulation to draw the distribution curve of the project, there is a straightforward calculation that can be produced on a spreadsheet that provides an approximation. The calculation is the optimistic estimate plus 4 times the most likely estimate plus the pessimistic estimate, all divided by 6. The calculation is performed for each activity, for time and for cost. This gives one set of estimates for each activity that we can use in the project plan. This method used 3 sets of estimates for each activity. An estimate for the time and cost, one set that considers there is no risk in the activity. This is called the optimistic estimate. Another set of estimates assumes the pessimistic case where everything will go wrong. And the third set provides a judgment based upon risk assessment and resource allocation that we consider to be the most likely situation. Remember, the most likely case is not placed halfway between optimistic and pessimistic.